What is up, everyone? I'm Skratch. Welcome to the channel. This is another Raid Shadow Legends video. Hope you guys are having an amazing day. In today's video, guys, we're gonna have a look at one of the faction Unity champions that I haven't showcased yet. I am talking about the Shadow King champion, Tetsuya the Deliverer. I recently managed to pull him, guys, and for whatever reason, I actually haven't done a video on him from the test server. Now, I won't have a soul for him, unfortunately, because I haven't pulled one yet. In terms of books and all the rest, he's fully booked. We gave him decent gear as well. Of course, without that blessing, the stats don't look that juicy as I would like them to be, but we're going to get to that part in a second. He has very good base stats for an attack champion, almost 1,700 attack, which is pretty high. Good speed, good HP, decent defense. Magic affinity, which works pretty good in the current meta. We kind of know it. Most of the magic champions are OP in the meta. With A1, rapid laceration attacks an enemy, fills the thermometer of all allies by 10% if this attack is critical, which is pretty good. With A2, attacks an enemy twice, will place 2 extra hits if the target's thermometer is less than 50%. Will ignore a percentage of the target's defense that is equal to the target's current thermometer, and will reset the cooldown of this skill if the target is killed. This, once again, sounds pretty interesting. I would assume the higher the thermometer on the target, the more defense we're going to ignore. So if by any chance they have thermometer, let's just say 100% thermometer, and we're moving before, we're going to ignore 100% of the target's defense, or at least that's what I'm understanding from here. And resetting the skill can be pretty nice. Now, as a faction Unity champion, to be honest, the Shadow King faction, even though they have some very solid champions, they really lack good support units, good revivers, right? They don't really have any revivers, in fact. So hopefully in the future, that won't be the case anymore, and it's going to be easier to pair a solid team together. With A3, attacks an enemy, steals 100% of the target's thermometer, and places a True Fear debuff for 2 turns. Now, this might not sound really impressive or anything like that. It's a very simple skill. This will be on a 4-turn cooldown, fully booked. But if you have one faction ally, you're not going to require accuracy, and the True Fear cannot be blocked by immunity. If you have 2 faction allies, increases the damage inflicted by this skill based on the difference between this champion's speed and the target's speed. Now, this, once again, might be a bit confusing, but I'm assuming that if my champion has 230 speed, the enemy has 200 speed, for example, we're going to get a bit of a boost in our damage, and that will be based off the difference from our speed. So let's just say, what do we have? Almost a 20% difference. Our damage will get boosted by 20%. Now, one thing that I'm not so sure if what I just mentioned is the case, and what if the enemy champion is faster? Will it be working in the exact same way? So if the enemy has 400 speed, we have 200 speed, right? So it doubles our speed. Are we going to get a massive damage boost on it when we attack a thermometer booster? Because there's a massive difference in between the speed. I would assume so, right? It doesn't matter if they're slower or faster. The bigger the speed gap, the bigger the damage boost. With 3 faction allies, will also attack all other enemies with more than 50% thermometer, steals 100% of each target's thermometer, and places a True Fear debuff on them for 2 turns. Now, this sounds pretty good as well. For this, I'm not 100% sure if we require accuracy. Most likely we do not, since having one faction ally will basically ensure that we don't need the accuracy. But they're not actually mentioning that part on this phase right here at this point. So we're going to have to actually do a bit of testing and check if that's the case or not. I haven't done much of a testing with a champion yet, but one thing that I can already tell you before we even move into it, I am very, very, very impressed with this skill and the damage output. Moving on to the passive. Fills this champion's turn meter by 15% whenever an enemy champion takes a turn. If there are multiple champions on the team, of course, only one will work. This is actually really, really good because whenever an enemy takes a turn, you're going to get 15% turn meter. If 2-3 of them move, you're easily going to cut on the fourth one. Maybe sometimes you're going to cut on the third champion from the enemy team based on how much turn meter you already have accumulated. With one faction ally, turn meter increase effects used on allies are 20% more effective. Turn meter increase effects used on enemies are 20% less effective, which sounds pretty good. With two faction allies, whenever this champion has their turn meter filled, increases the damage of their next attack by 5%. Resets after a skill is used. So if you're gonna have a few different champions to give him some turn meter boost, it doesn't matter how much, as long as he's getting it, even if it's 1%. And that's not all. Even the actual masteries can actually increase his damage. So I might actually have to rethink a bit my masteries. But either way, you're going to get a damage boost. It's only 5%, but still decent. With three faction allies, all allies are immune to turn meter reduction effects from enemies. Now, this is actually really, really, really good. Moving on to the aura, speed in all battles 19% and crit rate, but it only applies, of course, to Shadowkins. Now, because his speed aura is not that high, I'm not really going to use him in the lead in most of the content, but if we're talking about Siege, if we're talking as a backup for Arena, that can work as well. If we're talking about PvE content, 1000% you can use him. Up to you if you decide to build him with 100% crit rate, 85% crit rate. It really depends exactly how you're planning to use the champion. Leaving all that on the side, let's go over the build masteries and pretty much everything else that you should know about him. So, I built him on a lethal and stone skin set. I did not want to move gear from other champions, even though I had to move a couple of pieces. I still need to basically re-roll a lot of the gear, but I have no more dust left, and tomorrow we have the Sand Devils Necropolis tournament starting, so I'm hoping to get enough dust to sort him out tomorrow. We have the weapon right here. We need to roll it back to give us attack. The helmet as well to give us attack. Unfortunately, it's only a 5-star. The shield, that's perfect. The gloves, I would like to get crit damage instead of this attack right here, because we can get attack on the chest plate, and that will kind of like even out the amount of attack we already have, and I don't need the accuracy on here. On the boots, we actually have attack. I wouldn't mind if I would get speed, to be honest, but this would be probably the least of my priorities. This is good as well, and the banner, of course, will require a bit of rerolling to make sure we're getting attack on it as well. Total stats, we have 32k HP, 7.1k attack, 2.5k defense, 245 speed, full crit rate, 262 crit damage. Now keep in mind, he's not empowered. I have no blessing on him. Once I'm going to get a blessing, I'm going to get tons of attack, tons of crit damage. And of course, once I'm going to decide what relic I'm going to equip on the champion, that's going to make a bit of a difference as well, because we're gaining additional stats plus additional effects. Now, in terms of a blessing, it really depends what other champions you have in the team. If you're able to keep up a lot of buffs on him, Haven Cast is definitely not a bad call. Lightning Cage, in some cases, could be good. Even Intimidating Presence if you're trying to push up his aura. If you're relying on him to actually land some debuffs, Nature's Wrath can work pretty good. If not, most likely Soul Reap might be the one. Okay, I feel like Soul Reap could definitely be one of the better ones for him. Masteries, offense and defense. Helm Smasher as tier 6. Now keep in mind, we do not ignore Stone Skin, we do not ignore Strengthen, Shield, etc. So Shield Breaker will be helpful when you're going versus enemies that have a shield. Helm Smasher as tier 6, probably I've mentioned that already. And as I was saying, I should maybe reconsider my masteries, just to gain additional turn meter to boost the damage. So this is one option. I could drop the counter attack and try and get Cycle of Revenge. This will give me some turn meter. I could potentially get Arcane Celerity. If we're landing debuffs, that can give us Stir Meter as well and boost the damage, because it's not specified that a champion needs to boost the Stir Meter whenever he receives Stir Meter, right? So no matter what that might be. Maybe even some of the relics can potentially help us with some of those gemstones. We're going to have to do a bit of digging and find that out. But this is basically how we are going to take him for a spin. We're going to probably put a relic on him at some point. But first, I just quickly want to show you a couple of different things. So, I'm going to go versus Doom Tower waves. I'm going to go versus 119 right here. We're going to run this team. Should be pretty good. The reason why I'm going here and then we're going to go in the dragon is because the enemies are already fast, right? As you guys can probably notice, they have Stir Meter, they have over 50% Stir Meter. If I'm going in dungeons, they're going to be pretty slow, which is definitely not the best thing. I can even do an ally attack. Let's do an ally attack right here. Okay. Just to get that increased attack, get more buffs on him. Not like it really matters. But right here, I have two different options. Either I'm going with this skill to test it out and place all of those extra hits. But the problem is, all of them have more than 50% Stir Meter. So the main skill that I kind of like want to show in here is actually the A3 skill, guys. So, that being said, let's go versus one of the Cupidas, because Jack is going to make us lose the buff. 413k, 500k, 488k. I mean, that's when you know that a champion deals damage, guys. Okay, we boosted that Stir Meter once. We got that 5% additional damage. But considering what stats we have on the champion, that skill actually hits really hard. As I've told you, I was really impressed with what damage he was dealing with the skill. And this kind of like brings me once again to at the part when I'm mentioning the fusion. That champion just sucks in terms of damage output, right? He had better stats than this champion. And this champion, yes, we boosted the increased attack on him. It has no blessing, but the damage is so freaking good. It is conditional with the Stir Meter and all that, but it's actually really good damage. So, let's give him an instant turn. We have no debuffs on the enemies. Let's go versus this Ray right here. 93k, 135k. We did not even have a chance to repeat the attack twice because she had over 100% Stir Meter. We had no defense down on the enemy or anything like that. But she had high Stir Meter, which means that we ignored more defense versus this champion, which is actually really good. Now, truth be told, I'm actually impressed with the champion. I've done a bit of testing to kind of like see the damage and all that. I haven't played arena with him or anything like that, but the damage actually is really good. Considering what stats I have on him, no blessing and all the rest of the funky things as I've mentioned, really solid. So, they all have full Stir Meter, more or less, so we're going to do an AoE with the A3 right now. Check this out again. 358, 526, 4 and something, 3 and something. Very good numbers. Instant turn again. We have this skill available, so let's go versus Ghostborn. 96, 92, we killed. No defense down, no weaken, but we ignored a lot of defense like that. Okay, let's do that. In it, you might be a bit dangerous in there. Let's make sure you're not blocking. Oh, we have no reviver. We gotta back out of here. That's the problem with the Shadow Kings. No revivers. We definitely gotta get some revivers. So, Tetsuya actually has really good damage. Now, if we're gonna head back to the map, head into Dungeons, Dragon's Lair. Let's waste a bit of energy. Stage 20. And this team looks about right. I have no gear on my Easus, so that's not a problem. In here, the enemies are a bit tankier than the ones on the Doom Tower. Or at least I think so. Now, they are extremely slow, as you guys can probably notice, right? So, we're not really going to have a full AoE skill in here unless I'm gonna let them take some time in there and actually regenerate Stir Meter. But we're gonna use the A2. Attacks an enemy twice, we'll place 2 extra hits if the target Stir Meter is less than 50% HP. And we'll ignore some defense. Now, because their Stir Meter is at around, I'm not even sure what we have there, 15%, 20%, We're not going to ignore so much additional defense, but instead of hitting the enemy twice, we're going to hit the enemy 6 times, okay? So we're going to attack this Liburga right here because she has... Actually, no, we're going to attack Venus because she doesn't have as much Termiter as Liburga. So let's see that version as well. 48, 59, 67, 74k, okay? Actually, not 6 hits. We're only getting 4 hits, not 6. It repeats the attack twice. Maybe I've misread that part a bit. We'll place 2 extra hits. We'll not use the skill twice. My bad. So only 4 hits, which are still pretty good. Still pretty good. Now, if we're gonna go with the AoE skill, we're not gonna have a full AoE, unfortunately, because they don't have tons of Termiter. But as an idea, if we're gonna go versus this champion right here, check out the damage. 435k with 1 hit. Pretty damn good considering that we have no blessing and anything else that will enhance the damage on the champion. Now, if we're gonna reset this, hopefully we're gonna let them take some turns in there. Let's apply this again. 50%, almost 50%. I'm not going to... Okay, so is everybody over 50%? Yeah, everybody is over 50% now. So check it out. 8-3 again. 580, 700k, 694, 718k. Very good damage with that skill. One thing that I really regret is not having a Hydra key available just to check him in there as well. Because, hey, Hydra heads, half Termiter as well. That can be really, really interesting. So we're going to go versus a target that doesn't have defense down or weaken, which is pretty much all of them. But we don't have increased attack, so I'm actually going to go with the A1. We got Termiter, so this should boost the damage from the passive by 5%. Right now, we can actually gain that instant turn and go in with the A2 skill once again. 67, 34, 34, 34k, but no defense down or weaken. So it's definitely much better to attack an enemy when they have higher Termiter to ignore more defense rather than place those 2 extra hits. It feels like is way more impactful in my opinion. Way more impactful. So A1 again, and I'm going to let somebody gain some Termiter in there. Hopefully Yumeko will have the A3 available. So we're going to put that defense down, weaken, and I'm just going to go A1 so they can regenerate more Termiter. There we go. So I'm going to go with the A2 skill. We're only going to do 2 hits versus the Venus that has weaken, no defense down, right? Let's attack the weaker one. 104k, 108k. So we ignored quite a bit of a defense, considering that the average damage per hit before was around 34 to 40k. Then add, of course, the weaken, which will drop 25%, right? So we had around 75 to 80k per hit now, if we're kind of like taking the weaken out of it. So the damage, in a way, double because of the ignore defense effect, but in a way, is still pretty much the same thing, because even though we ignored all of that additional defense, we don't have the 2 extra hits to really make up for it, right? Does that make sense? Hopefully it does. So an instant turn once again, and now we're gonna go AoE, baby. Let's see the tank, the healthiest enemy right here. Seems like it's the Chagura on the left. 498, 890k, 970 and something on the Venus on the right side. Really, really, really solid damage. Now in here, we're going versus the boss, guys. I'm really not expecting much. Most likely he's going to absolutely clap us, and I have no reviver. But A2 skill, no increased attack or anything like that. 81, 91k. And let's back out of here because I got wrecked. Either way, he actually really brings in a solid damage in my opinion. Now, one thing that I still want to basically try is let him gain Termiter, and go in with the A2 once again. And then we're going to wipe them with the A3 or something like that. We can apply the defense down and we can, not a problem. I'm just going to go A1, get some Termiter, 54k hit without an increased attack. Okay, so they are slowly gaining some more turn meter. Let them gain more. Eyasu, you can attack whoever you want. You don't really have gear, so you're not going to do much. And they're close to around 90% turn meter, most of the enemies by the looks of it, which is good. So let's get that increased attack. And either way, I'm not going to go with the A3, so I don't know why I'm too stressed about that part. But I'm going to go with the A2 versus this Venus right here. So let's see. 187, 180k. Now with defense down and the weaken, right? So very good, I would say. Not as good as the A3, though. Not as good as the A3. The A2 feels a bit kind of like in between, a bit of a hit and miss, right? But the A3 is what makes the magic. Because it's all about having that speed difference. And, of course, gaining a bit of turn meter can be nice, but I feel like what really makes a lot of damage out of it is this. Increases the damage inflicted by the skill based on the difference between this champion speed and the target speed. Chagur, you're gonna go to sleep, baby. 562, 859, and this Venus did not have over 100 or over 50% turn meter, sorry, so we did not hit her again. Now, I haven't really tried the A1 just yet with defense down, increased attack, and all the rest of the things. Let's see if we actually have a chance to do it with defense down and weaken. We do. We're going to go A2 once again. Then we're going to go back to the A1. So let's go versus this Venus. 87, 59, 85. Decent. Instant turn. And A1 versus this Venus right here. 155k with the A1. And that's with defense down and weaken, of course. I feel like the A3 is really nasty. The A3 is really, really nasty. I'm so curious to see how it would perform in a Hydra, for example. Even though I don't really think he's a boss specialist, right? You see, 830, pretty damn good damage. So let's back out of here, move on to the arena. And let me just check. Have I used all of my Hydra keys or I haven't? I did. Okay, so unfortunately, the reset is only happening tomorrow. But I could potentially try to go versus the Chimera for a little bit, just to see how it performs in there. Now, Arena. Live Arena, I'm not feeling it. I feel like without having the right support for the Shadowkins and all that, you need to be extremely, extremely fast. And be sure that the enemy is not full stone skin, etc. to actually stand a chance. That's basically my take for Live Arena. Plus, this it's pretty easy for them to ban one of your champions. Now, in Classic Arena, where they cannot ban anyone and stuff like that, you definitely have a bit of more control. We can actually see it a bit better. Now, we had the Arena reset today, guys, so I haven't done that many fights yet, but we should still be able to find a couple of decent-ish teams. For example, let's go versus this one. Let's drop the champions that we are using in here. Let's go to recently used first, and we can go in like this. As an idea, we have the ally attack from Lady Mikage. The increased attack from there too. So if I'm doing that, I should be able to just lock them. Okay, an ally attack on Sifi. Dead. We're gonna go for Rotos next. Yes. We're gonna or I could do this. Attack Arbiter. And as you guys can probably notice, she only has 20% turn meter. Now the rest, they have close to 100% turn meter, which means that I'm gonna kill Arbiter and the AoE will hit the other ones as well. You see? I haven't really showed you that on the dungeon because I was really focused on ensuring that I'm targeting champions with higher HP and stuff to basically get some good numbers. But we stole so much turn meter from the enemies, right? That right now we are gaining another turn, which almost puts this skill on a 3-turn cooldown. And right now we can go versus Rotos. Bang, bang, bang. Put him to sleep. Really nice. Now let's try to find some tanky teams. Okay, we have a Marichka, but I'm not too impressed with that team power. This one right here seems decent, and this one right here seems a bit better, but I need to kill Haprak first. I need to kill Haprak first. I have no revivers whatsoever in here. It's going to be a bit nasty. Oof. So kind of like no matter what I'm doing, I need to somehow break that stone skin. I mean, do we really have to do that much, right? So, I'm going to attack Siegfried, then kill the rest. Because I want to make sure we are getting the Thermiter from him and everything else. Now, he does have the block damage. Unfortunately, we are not ignoring any of the buffs. With the A1, we're just feeling the Thermiter. So I'm going to have to basically just go A1, boost a bit the Thermiter on my team. Put that on him as well. Try to decrease the duration of the block damage. We managed to do it. Get some more Thermiter, boost a bit the damage on him. As you guys can probably notice, his Thermiter is pretty low, but we're going to go with this skill. 1 is enough to kill him, basically. So he's absolutely not struggling to kill any targets in arena, okay? He really doesn't struggle with that. He just absolutely destroyed that Haprak, even though he had some stone skin left. Curious to try this team as well with Sifi Arbiter. Let's give it a go, and then we're going to try to find some other teams, maybe some tankier teams. So I feel like once they're going to get a good reviver support in this faction, this will actually work much, much better. I want to take Odin down with the ally attack so the block damage does not proc. Everybody has full Thermiter. I'm going to attack Thor first. Actually, no. Yeah, let's attack whoever. Doesn't really matter who we're attacking first. Get the Thermiter, but the rest will not survive because he deals such a good amount of damage. Now, can we find something a bit tankier? We have a Duchess right there, beautiful, so we can try that out. We have a Galaxy right here, strong affinity, but we can still try that out. Or we have this one right here. I think this looks a bit more interesting. Let's see. And I mean, I can do that. It's fine. We lock them all. I want to kill Crixia. Ally attack. She survived. Not a problem. Now, one thing that will happen here, Marius will counterattack because we're going to attempt to steal the Thermiter. So I'm going to attack Narcissus. 214k, put to sleep. We got the turn. We killed the rest. Now we're going to go A2 on Marius. Break the stone skin. Sayonara, baby. Okay, that's about it. We put him to sleep as well. So, as I've mentioned, the damage, I mean, he's not lacking damage whatsoever. But that's the only thing that he does. Okay, that's the only thing that he does. I wish he would have ignored stone skin in a way or another or something like that. One more thing, guys. I quickly want to see what sort of damage we're going to get in the Chimera. I'm not going to do a full run or anything like that because it's pretty obvious just by looking at what numbers we are getting from the champion, if he's actually good or not. So I'm going to do that. You see, in cases like this, you can do that. Get some more crit rate on your Mikage, for example. Now, one thing to keep in mind right here, we only have one Shadowkin. And because of it, his A2 will not increase the damage. His A3 will not increase the damage. And this will not increase the damage either. Now, one thing that I can do is bring in another Shadowkin. So we're going to run with 3 Shadowkins. So like this, we get the damage boost, right? This is a team that can 100% work really, really well. A1. Let's get some speed up and running in here. Decrease speed. Of course, on a merciless build would be much, much better in here. And we're going to go with... Let's go A1. Then we're going to get increased attack and do some better things. We're going to wait with that increased attack so the boss takes the first turn. It is much squishier though. And I just see my favorite affinity, Force Affinity. So expect some weak hits in here. Let's get some HP. So we're going to let the thermometer go a bit up as well. We're going to go in with an ally attack. 83k with the A1. Not very solid, to be honest. And now we can actually go with the A3. Or we can go with the A2. So let's see the A2 actually. 146. So that's around there. 146, 150k per hit. That would be around 300k with the A2 with the current build with no relic. Not that great, to be honest. Not that great. Let's see the A3 as well. So the A3 based on the speed difference. This boss is pretty fast. He does have increased speed as well. We have the increased speed too. So let's see the damage from the A3. 253k. So I don't think that he's going to be really solid in here. Okay. In the Hydride might be a bit different. But in here, I just don't see him doing any fantastic things, okay? We had a weaken, right? I think we had a weaken as well. I don't think we were missing the weaken from the enemy. We are definitely missing it now, though. Yeah, we had the weaken before because the numbers are much lower now. He can bring you the fear for the trials. 117 and another weak hit. Beautiful. I love those weak hits, man. I love them. Counterattack 30k. Give me some thermometer. That thermometer could help quite a bit to rotate your team. 10% thermometer every time he crits. That can be pretty good, actually. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. No point to attempt to land the debuffs because we're going to miss out on it. Okay. Have no block buffs like this, though. I'm going to wait with that 8-3 to apply the weaken. And I need an increased attack as well, so let's... Okay, we got the weaken. We got everything that we need. Except the increased attack, so hopefully we're going to get it now. Yep. Another ally attack, A1. 84k. Yeah, I really don't see him doing crazy damage in here. 214k with the A3. Not the right champion for the Chimera. Not the right champion for the Chimera, though. His damage is not too good in here. But keep in mind, we had no relic on him. And as I've mentioned, for Arena, it's great with a full Shadowkin team. It sucks that you have no revivers and all that. I feel like for Faction Wars, guys, hard mode difficulty, which most likely will be the most challenging content in the game, every single faction unity champion will be crazy important. Maybe they're not gonna push a lot of weight on the faction unity champions, but I really think they will. And I feel like he's going to be absolutely amazing in the Shadowkin Crypt. We only have, wow, 1 or 2 epic revivers in this faction, which kind of sucks. Where is Kinegashi? I like her. I'm using her in the Curse City. If I have to use her for Faction Wars, I'm going to use it. But we definitely need more revivers. Isn't Tomoe a reviver as well? No, right? I know Sachi can revive, but it's conditional and stuff. We need a legendary or a mythical reviver. Preferably a legendary, a solid one, a good support one. So this faction is more complete. Either way, the damage on the A3 on waves in Arena, very good. The damage on the A2, pretty good as well, but nothing spectacular. Overall, I think he's a pretty good champion. But that A3 really impressed me. He can just wipe all of the waves on stage 10 hard mode, highest floor on the Doom Tower. Think about Seer. She can absolutely obliterate the waves. He can do the same, and he doesn't even have the most disgusting stats or anything like that. He has a good build, but nothing like insane. As usual, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. Appreciate all of you guys watching. Much love, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.